Hi students, once again I'm here to connect you all through online classes. In the previous videos I have given you some of the important and applicable based questions which are really beneficial for your board exam. This video I'm going to start a new lesson from the biology, control and coordination. Before starting the lesson, I want you all to be motivated children. How can I motivate myself to study? You have to question yourself, how can I motivate myself to study? Yes children, you have to first boost yourself so that you develop interest towards the subject. Don't ever use discouraging words for yourself. Always use words like I will surprise myself, I am so proud of myself, I can do this, it's up to me, I have the power within myself to feel fabulous, I am motivated, I inspire myself, I believe in myself, I am strong, I feel great, I will succeed. So these are the words you have to always use to boost yourself children. If you boost yourself with these great words, I hope you will definitely be motivated. From this lesson, control and coordination, what are the important concepts you have to concentrate is meaning of control and coordination, examples for response to external stimuli, control and coordination in plants, plant hormones or we call them as phytohormones, types of plant hormones and their functions, tropic movements and types. All living organisms, plants and animals respond and react to changes in the environment around them. The changes in the environment to which the organisms respond and react are called stimuli. The changes in the environment to which the organisms respond and react are called stimulus. So the living organisms show response to stimuli such as light, heat, cold, sound, taste, touch, pressure, pain, water and force of gravity. So the response of organisms to a stimulus is usually in the form of some movement of their body parts children. Yes, so organisms show response to stimulus. I told you what is stimulus. The changes in the environment to which the organisms respond and react is called stimulus. So the response of organism to a stimulus is in the form of some movement of their body parts. So to show response to the external stimuli, they show some movements of their body parts. So what is that? For example, first one, if we touch a very hot utensil accidentally, we quickly pull our hand away. Yes, when we unknowingly touch any hot objects, we quickly pull our hand away. So here what is stimulus and what is response children? Heat is the stimulus and moving our hand is response. Second example, if you take when the sun is bright, we close our eyes. So what is response, what is stimulus in this situation? Sun or light is stimulus, closing our eyes is response. One more example is when we are frightened by a dog, we run away as fast as we can. Yes, when we are afraid of a dog, we run with fear. So what is response and what is stimulus here? Fear of dog is stimulus, running away is response. One more example, when we touch the leaves of a touch-me-not plant, we call it as Mimosa pudica, botanical name. The leaves respond by folding down. The leaves respond by folding down. Here, what is stimulus? Touch is the stimulus. Folding of leaves is respond. One more example, when we touch an earthworm, it moves back. Here, touching is the stimulus. When we touch the earthworm, the touch is the stimulus. Moving back is the response. Okay, children. Okay, the last example you can study for response to external stimuli. Sunflower faces the sun. Here sunlight is stimulus, sunflower bends or moving towards the sun is response. The reaction to stimuli is the characteristic property of the living organism. Yes, living organisms show response to external stimuli. This is one of the important characteristic of living organism. So reaction is also called as a response. So response to stimuli is the characteristic property of the all living organisms, we can say. Both plants and animals respond and react to various stimuli around them children. All plants and animals show some response to the external stimuli in their surroundings. But the method of reacting is not similar in both plants and animals. Both plants and animals don't show same type of response to the external stimuli. Plants react to stimuli in different way. Plants react to stimuli in different way. Plants bend towards light, but animals do not bend. Animals do not bend. Plants bend towards light. Partially they show response, but animals show different type of response to external stimuli. Even unicellular organisms show response to external stimuli. Like for example, amoeba reacts to the presence of food by moving towards it. So when amoeba comes in contact of any food particles, it immediately surrounds the food particles and engulfs the food particles. So this is one type of response to external stimuli in unicellular organisms. Most of the animals react to stimuli in different ways because they have a nervous system and an endocrine system. Here nervous system, you all know, brain, spinal cord, neurons and nerves play an important role. In endocrine system, hormones play a very important role to bring about control and coordination. So plants react to stimuli in a very limited way because plants don't have any nervous system. They don't have nervous system like animals, but they use only the hormones for showing reaction to external stimuli. So plants don't have nervous system, children. That's why they don't show response to stimulus as you see in animals. They only show some of the movements, that is because of the hormones. To bring about response to external stimuli, many organs in our body are involved. Many organs are involved in our body to bring about response to external stimuli. Therefore, all the organs work in a systematic way, in a very synchronized way, or we can say in a very systematic manner, all the organs work. And so, this type of working together of all the organs of our body in a systematic manner, we call it as coordination. You all understood, children, what is coordination? The working together of various organs of an organism. In our body, there are so many organs. All these organs will work in a very systematic manner so as to produce response to an external stimuli. This we call it as coordination. So there is coordination between one organ and other organ. This we call it as coordination. When I say coordination, children, in human beings we can say digestion of food. So when the food is digested, here all the organs play: mouth, esophagus, stomach, okay, small intestine, large intestine, all these are very systematically function in order to take up digestive system. And when we see, plants do not have any nervous system and sense organs like eyes, ears or nose, but they can only sense things. Plants can only sense the presence of stimuli like light, gravity, chemicals, water and touch, and respond to them by the action of hormones in them. So you have to remember, children, plants don't have nervous system or they don't have sense organs like animals, but they can still sense things around them. What are the things they can sense is, they can sense the light, gravity, chemicals and show response to the stimuli. And this is done only with the help of hormones. You have to remember, children, plants show response to external stimuli, or in plants, control and coordination is brought about by hormones. The hormones in plants do not act the same way as in animals. Okay, children, the hormones in plants are not the same as in case of animals. The hormones in plants coordinate their behavior by affecting the growth of the plant. Here, you have to remember, children, hormones play a very important role in affecting the growth of the plant, and the growth of the plant will result in the movement of the parts of the plant body. So like shoot system, stem moving towards upwards and root moving towards the gravity, or we can say roots moving towards the soil, stem moving towards the sunlight. So this type of movements are done only because of the growth, and that is because of the hormones. Plants cannot respond quickly. Children, you have to remember, plants cannot respond quickly as we see in animals because they don't have nervous system. Plants respond to various stimuli very slowly, only by we can see that response by growth. The function and control and coordination in plants is performed by chemical substances. That's what I told you, children. It is because of the hormones, and hormones are nothing but they are the chemical substances. So in plants, what do you call these chemical substances? They are called plant hormones, and they are also called as phytohormones. Phyto means plants. So in plants, the hormones are called phytohormones, which play an important role in bringing about control and coordination. Now we shall see some of the plant hormones. So I told you hormones. So what are those hormones called in plants? They are called phytohormones. So what are these phytohormones? They are the control and coordinating substances found in the plants, and they are nothing but the chemical substances, or we call them as phytohormones. And these phytohormones are also called as plant growth substances. These are called plant growth substances. So what are the types of phytohormones? There are 4 types of phytohormones in plants: auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid, or we also call it ABA. What are the types of hormones in plants? They are auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid, ABA. Now we'll see how are these hormones really helpful in plants to bring about control and coordination. Auxins, gibberellins and cytokinins are plant hormones which promote growth of the plants. Remember children, they'll ask you in exam, like they will give the function and ask you name the hormone. So auxins, gibberellins and cytokinins are plant hormones. Basically what is their function is they promote or they help in growth of the plants. Abscisic acid inhibits means prevents the growth of the plant. So unnecessary growth of the plant, or it can even help in prevention of dormancy in seeds. So you have to learn what is dormancy of seeds, children. I'll tell you. But abscisic acid is the plant hormone which inhibits the growth of the plants or prevents the growth of the plants. Now we shall see auxins, children. Auxins, what are these auxins? They are plant hormones. What is the function? They help in cell enlargement and cell differentiation. Cell enlargement means growth of the cell, children. So you can see in the cell you can see nucleus, cytoplasm. Together we call it as protoplasm, and many important organelles are found for the enlargement of the cell and cell differentiation, that is growth of the cell, division of the cell. Auxins are helpful. Not only that, they help in promoting fruit growth. So the development of the fruit is because of auxins. And also auxins help for phototropic and geotropic responses. Photo means light. Plants respond to light, and that is they move towards the light. That is called phototropic movement. And geotropic, the roots move towards the soil, towards the gravity. So these movements are because of auxins. And auxins help in speeding the growth in stem but slows down the growth in roots. You have to remember children, for the growth of the stem, to increase the length of the stem, auxins are useful, and to slow down the growth of roots, auxins are used. And also synthetic auxin hormones are applied to plants in the field of agriculture and horticulture for rapid growth of plants. So for the rapid growth of plants, synthetic auxins means they are man-made auxins which are used for the growth of the plants. Next hormone is gibberellins. So gibberellins are also plant hormones, children. So what is the function of gibberellins? Here is they also help in cell development and modification, and basically they help in breaking the dormancy in seeds and buds. So what do you mean by dormancy, children? Dormancy means it's a resting or inactive condition. Dormancy means it's a resting or inactive condition in which metabolism almost stops. So when you take a seed, so in the seed we don't see the growth until and unless certain factors like water, air and hormones are supplied to the seed, it starts growing. But before that, the seed is said to be in inactive stage or at a resting period, and this condition we call it as dormancy. Now, so once the seeds are in a dormancy stage, here gibberellins help in breaking the dormancy, that is the resting period or inactive condition is removed, and makes the seeds to undergo germination. Or even in the buds also, buds are also considered to be in the dormancy stage. So because of the gibberellins, the buds start growing and develop into flowers and later on into fruit. So that is the function of gibberellins. Gibberellins basically help in breaking the dormancy. Dormancy is nothing but resting or inactive condition in which the metabolism almost stops. That means there is no metabolic activity. That we call it as dormancy. So to remove that, gibberellins are used. They also promote growth in fruits. So for the development and ripening of fruits, gibberellins are used. They mainly help in extension of shoot system. That is, the length of the stem is because of gibberellins. And the next hormone is cytokinins. These are the plant hormones which promote cell division, children. I told you cell division plays a very important role in the growth of the plant. So this cell division is basically under the control of cytokinin. So division of the nucleus, division of the cytoplasm in order to increase the number of cells, and modification of tissues, that is done because of cytokinins. They also help in breaking the dormancy. I told you gibberellins and cytokinins both help in dormancy of seeds and buds. They delay the aging in leaves. Yes, so unnecessary falling of leaves is reduced because of cytokinins, and also helps in promoting the opening of stomata. So opening of stomata, the function, the mechanism of stomatal opening is because of cytokinins, and also helps in growth of fruits. And the next hormone is abscisic acid. This is a plant hormone which helps in the functioning as a growth inhibitor. Means it prevents unnecessary growth. Unnecessary growth is done with the help of abscisic acid, and also it opening and closing action helps in stomata for this one, respiration, as well as for transpiration process. Here opening is under the control of cytokinins, and closing of the stomata is because of abscisic acid. Opening of the stomata is because of cytokinins, and closing of stomata is because of, you can say, abscisic acid. And it also promotes the dormancy in seeds and buds. I told you breaking of dormancy condition is because of gibberellins and cytokinins. But here the dormancy period, the seeds become inactive, or we can say resting period of the seeds, that is because of the abscisic acid. And also abscisic acid helps in falling of leaves, and we call this as abscission, okay, and helps in detachment of flowers and fruits from the plants. So once the flowers and fruits, once the fruits become ripen, they fall out from the plants. So that function, or that activity is taken care of by abscisic acid. So abscisic acid takes up all the negative functions, children. It prevents the growth of the plants. It helps in closing of stomata. It makes the seeds to undergo dormancy period, and then falling of leaves, falling of fruits, and falling of flowers. Now we shall see some of the movements in plants, children. Plants don't show complete movement, but they can show some partial movements in them. So the movements in plants where they are unidirectional, which are caused by its growth, and we call this movements as tropism. So tropism is nothing but it is the unidirectional movement of the parts of the plant which are caused because of its growth. Understood, children? Tropism is a unidirectional movement. It is a movement in the plants, in some parts of the plant body, which is caused because of its growth, and this we call it as what? Tropism. And if the plants show response to the stimulus, if the growth of the plant part is towards the stimulus, it is called positive tropism. If the growth of the plant is away from the stimulus, then it is called negative tropism. For example, plant moving towards the sunlight and a shoot system moving towards the sunlight, this is positive tropism. Roots are moving away from the sunlight, this is called negative tropism. What are the types of tropism or unidirectional movements in the plants? We can study many types, children. The first one is phototropism. Here photo means light, so plants show response to the stimulus, that is light, that is stem moving towards the sunlight. So this is called phototropism. Geotropism is the parts of the plant, that is roots, moving towards the soil or towards the gravity. This is called geotropism. And chemotropism is plants show response to chemicals, like the pollen tube moving towards the ovule. So the pollen tube, I can show you, children, when you take, this is the stigma, this is the style, and this is the ovary. We call it as what? Carpel. This is called carpel. When the pollen grains fall on the stigma, they start making a way to reach the ovule. So inside, this is the pollen, this is the stigma style. So inside the style, the pollen tube, once it falls on the stigma, it develops a pollen tube and start moving towards the ovule. Here, ovule in the ovary. So here in the ovule, we can see there is a sugary substance secreted by the ripened stigma. This stigma will secrete a sugary substance. So that is the chemical which makes the pollen tube move towards the ovule. You all understood, children? So that is the chemical substance. So this we call it as chemotropism. That means the pollen tube is attracted towards the ovule because of the chemical substance which is secreted by the stigma in the carpel of the ovary or of the flower, in the carpel of the flower. Okay, children. Now, chemo means chemical. Hydrotropism is water. Hydro means water. Plants move towards the water. That is, roots of the plants always try to move towards the water. This is called hydrotropism. Thigmotropism is, thigmo means touch, children. Touch. So, most of the plants show response to touch, like for example all the climbers or creepers. So as they are moving, when they see any objects intact to them, they start taking the help of them and start winding around the objects. So this is called thigmotropism. Have last type of movement, that is nastic movement, children, which is nastic movements. These are the movements which are not unidirectional, but when this movements takes place throughout the parts of the plant body. Okay, for example, you can say folding of leaves. So in folding of leaves, you can touch any part of the leaf where it starts drooping. Okay, so here the response is not determined by the direction of the stimulus. Whichever direction is the stimulus applied, it affects all the parts of the organs of the plant equally. So any direction you apply the stimulus, the effect is shown in all the parts of the plant body. Understood, children? That is called nastic movements. Nastic movements is opening of petals and closing of petals. We can see this type of movement in dandelion flower. In the morning, because of the bright sunlight, the petals are opened, and in the evening, because of the absence of sunlight, what happens is the petals close because the light fades. Because of that, here light plays an important role, that is stimulus. Because of the bright light, they open, and because of the when the light fades, they close. Such type of movements where the movements are not unidirectional. You have to remember, children, whereas tropic movements are unidirectional and they start showing the movements towards the particular stimulus. But here it is not like that. Once you apply the stimulus to any part of the body, equally the response is shown. Such movements are called nastic movements. Now we have come to the last part, that is uses of plant hormones, children. That is, what are the uses of plant hormones? So first thing is, plant hormones help in germination of seeds. That is, they break out the resting period and allow the seeds to germinate. And then growth of the root, stem and leaves are in the function of plant hormones. Then movement of stomata, that is closing and opening of stomatal function, is because of hormones. Then flowering of plants, ripening of fruits, and also helps in tropisms. I told you phototropism, hydrotropism, geotropism, thigmotropism, chemotropism and nastic movements. All these are done because of the hormones. Okay, children, in the next video, I am going to explain the next part of control and coordination in animals. Thank you.